Hey, it's Patrice, the Gothic Housewife. So, how did Gothic Housewives come about? Well, back in seventh grade, I used to hang out with my friends and we listened to a ton of music. We listened to bands like Bauhaus and Sisters of Mercy, The Cure. And back then, music was everything to me. And my dad, he's a musician, so naturally I followed in his footsteps. So throughout high school, I was in bands. And when I had to grow up, I had gotten to a point where, I wanted to settle down and have a family. And I also wanted to make sure that I was doing something that I could make good money to support my family. So I got into dentistry. And while that was good, the money was great and the people were great and everything, I felt like I could not be myself. I felt like I was, in a sense, selling out every day because I couldn't wear my hair the way I wanted. I couldn't wear my makeup the way that I wanted, my clothing. Like I was in scrubs all day and I just did not feel like myself. And unfortunately, I did that for 16 years. So if you can imagine being that uncomfortable and feeling like you're not being true to yourself for 16 years straight, it's insanity. So during the year of 2007, I ended up becoming pregnant with my third child. And while I was pregnant, I ended up experiencing complications in my pregnancy. So I ended up having to be put on bed rest. And when I was on bed rest, things just got really tough because my husband, he had to try to hold things together for the family. And like every utility you can think of, the gas, electric, water, like all of those bills, like every other week something was getting shut off. And we had to like send our kids to school on some days, the older kids, with a note to ask the school if they could provide them with lunch for the day. And that's just how bad it got. And I felt a lot of guilt because here it is, I had to stop working and I wasn't able to do my part to, help out with the family. And so I decided that I wanted to figure out something that I could do. Here I am laid up on bed rest and I felt really stuck, like there was just nothing. And I ended up finding a book. And the book was actually very good because it taught me how to take my own talent of writing and generate income from writing articles and distributing them all over the internet. And I started to generate income in that first week. So things started to look up and I was like, hallelujah. We actually get to like send our kids to school with lunch money and we get to pay down some of these bills. It was incredible, you know? So I continued to write about different topics. A lot were in design. And I just continued to push and continue to generate money. Now, 6 months into the pregnancy, my son was born early. I started to start getting contractions early. And so he ended up being put in the NICU in the city, and that was like an hour or so away. And the thing about it was, we were still like the income was still coming in, which was great. And I felt like I could spend my time focusing on my son because I had time to do so and I was not having to be, you know, reliant on a job in dentistry and ask for time off to try to take care of my son while he was in the NICU. And unfortunately, my son, he passed away after only 5 weeks of life. But the thing about it is that I feel like I was so lucky in the sense that I got to spend the time with him to get to know him and things like that. And it really gave me the opportunity to kind of reflect on what it was that I really wanted for my kids. And, before he passed away, I made him a promise. With everything that, we had been going through and everything, I promised him that I would do something to help moms be in a position to where they can stay true to themselves. Moms and women that are like me, that are like housewives, that are, you know, people who have a unique style. It's so important for you to be able to not be distracted by the noise outside. And it's so important for you to be able to focus on your family and not have to worry about who's pointing at you, who's looking at you, who's ridiculing you, and things like that. It's about really staying true to yourself. And that's the promise that I made to him. And so after he passed away, a month later, we were lucky to where we were able to become pregnant again. And my daughter Zoe, she's 9 years old now. During that time, I had to be bedridden again. So I continued to write articles, and those articles ended up becoming a blog and became a business. Now, the thing about it is that everything was like going great, but I realized I still was not happy. And the reason why is because even though, being in design and things like that, it's like when I would send out emails and things like that, I'd have like my image in there and I had like sunflowers and things like that. And it just was not me. Like I could not express myself. I couldn't be myself. I just really felt like people just wouldn't get me. And so I spent years like that as well. So I pretty much was in the same boat I was in when I was in dentistry. So this is what Gothic Housewives is about. After all the blogging and learning how to like get out there and how to be able to really stay true to myself, like that's just been such a strong thing for me. We go through so much as Goth women. We go through so much. And it's like there are younger Goth girls out there that are, in a sense, ashamed of being who they are. And I just think that it's so important for us as Goth women to kind of work together and figure out how to just be able to be yourself and feel good about yourself. Gothic Housewives is about being able to help people like me and you how to stay true to yourself. It's such an important thing for us because of the fact that with all the challenges that we have, all of the bullying that's going on and things like that, we need to make sure that as women and as Goth women, we're able to stand up for who we are and be proud to be who we are. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Patrice, the Gothic Housewife. Live Goth, breathe Goth, be Goth.